topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
To Triversity Talk. I am your hostess with the mostest this evening, or your host with the most, however you want to take it. Wendy Stewart, and happy to be here with you on this blustery, I am broadcasting from New York, this blustery night in New York City. I am no fan of the cold. You've all heard me complain and moan about it, and now we're coming into winter season, but I'm also an optimist, so I always try and find the bright and fabulous things that I can share with you. So if you're listening to us in the tri-state area and you know about Triversity in Milford, Pennsylvania, I want to use this opportunity to let you all know that we are having a fabulous holiday party on December 5th. And you can find out more about it on our Facebook page, Triversity, the Pride Center, or go to our website. But it's from 4 to 7. It's on December 5th. That's a Sunday. And it's at Ma and Papa Joe's. I hope I gave you the right date. But I get so many dates confused in my head because, as many of you well know, I got a lot going on. So it's that Sunday, that first Sunday in December. And if you're listening, our Transgender Day of Remembrance at Triversity, of course, is on November 20th. And we have more information about that, what time it starts. We will have speakers, and it's a really wonderful ceremony in that it's important to remember, and it's important to say the names of the people who are no longer with us that were transgender. So if you can stop by, please, or if not, wherever you are, please give a moment of silence, say a name of someone that you know. Thank you. If you're in New York City, Friday night at Pangea is Girl Shock, Maria Connor's new musical, named after the book by the same name. Girl Shock, How I Dressed as a Girl on Halloween and Lived Happily Ever After. I know I just messed up the title of the book, but the musical is called Girl Shock, and Maria will be using selected songs from there to entertain you with on Friday night at Pangea. Her show starts at 9:30, and again, to me, it's perfect because it's a day after Transgender Day of Remembrance, right? So enough with the announcements. I have a lot of very cool things happen in my life because I am an open book with no filter. And many of the guests you've noticed lately, they're just from all over, and they're finding their way to this show, and that makes me really happy. And somebody reached out to me a bunch of weeks ago, and I can tell a lot, believe it or not, I'm not crazy, by the tone of someone's email. I can tell a lot if someone reaches out to me on the phone, and I just got amazing vibes from this person. Okay. Our guest tonight comes to us all the way from Minnesota. They're a multi-instrumental composer of rock, pop, classical, and new age. I totally love that. I have to tell you, somebody that can do that is extremely dynamic to me. And they use their music to connect people in a positive way. What could be better? And of course, the icing on the cake for me is there's a whole section of their website devoted to what they do as an intuitive, a psychic, if you will, and the reading of the tarot. And for many of you who tune into this show, you know that's right up my alley. So without further ado, please welcome Paul David Stanko.
Hello there, Wendy.
Well, hello there. How are you?
I am fabulous tonight. How are you?
You are just coming in radiant, and just, you know what? It's fabulous. I tell people this all the time. They're like, "Why are you so happy all the time?" And it's not fake, because bad stuff happens to everyone. We all experience it. But as you know, and I know this about you without me telling, you surround yourself. You try and, to the best of your ability, surround yourself with the light and share the light with.
Absolutely. It's all about perspective,
Right.
right? You know, and I've discovered that as I've gotten older, even the things that I don't prefer, those experiences that were maybe rough, have still served me. And if I just change my attitude about it and then rise up into my power and accept who I am,
Right.
it changes the world. And then everything that is drawn to me is suddenly that same vibration, that same energy. And maybe I'm toxically happy. Nah, I don't think so.
Oh my God, I just love that. No, I'm going to steal that from you. I will credit you with saying that, right? That's going to be my new line. I'm toxically happy. That'll make them run in the other direction. No, but I hear what you're saying, because I mean, if you follow the very basics of laws of attraction, right? And even the most scientific people I know, and I know a lot of scientists, believe, you know, we know about those things. We know they have to do with energy. And if you open yourself up to that, and you take the negative experience and you have to move past it, and you said you have to rise up,
yes,
and continue onward. And yeah, that's always been my philosophy. And it makes for a great life. And it makes for the fact that you can reach out and touch someone, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about connection. It's about unity. It's remembering that we're all just one. We're all from the same source. And that if we see each other as part of ourselves, it changes how we interact with people.
Absolutely. I think the lesson for me and all of what we're saying, I sometimes need to be better about accepting people's frailties and not going with my judgment, because everyone, we're human beings. We all have yin and yangs. And if your positivity outweighs your negativity, I've learned, I take you with your faults, right? We all have faults.
Oh, 100%. I am super flawed and
Super
not
flawed.
perfect.
And of course, you're on this show, right?
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Super Flawed Show. That, by the way, would make a great podcast.
I think so.
I'm channeling you right now. I mean, that would make a great podcast. You could, oh my God, look at all the people you could put on. Okay, I want to talk, first of all, about your musical background. How did that all come about for you?
So music was always around when I was growing up, but not the music you'd think. So I grew up in the 70s. My dad was really into swing music. Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman were always on in his workshop. My mom was sort of into the soft rock, Carpenters, Captain and Tennille, Simon and Garfunkel vibe, but music was always around. So getting through that process of just being present with it was pretty cool. My grandparents, my grandmother was a phenomenal organist. She could play by ear.
Wow.
And she and her husband, my grandpa, ran an organ club. So many Sunday afternoons, my sister and I were drugged to this collection where they played all kinds of old-time classic music. They loved it. And so I was always surrounded by that. Played in band, sang in choirs in high school, was in theater, was on speech team. When it came to college, I needed to decide on a major. And the only thing I could really think about was music. And I got to college and realized I knew nothing. So if you've ever seen Whiplash,
I love that film.
That was my college experience with my jazz professor, who I am incredibly thankful for. He took this little suburban boy with zero rhythm or idea of how to play a drum set, and it was instrumental in forming me how I am.
Get out. You started with drums then?
So I played drums in high school, like marching band, but that was rudimentary drums. I had no clue how to play a drum set. My limbs wouldn't work, but here I am at college with a music major, right? And I learned fairly quickly. I credit him, Dr. Paul Smoker, who was a phenomenal avant-garde jazz trumpet player, with really opening me up to music that I had never even knew existed. You know, noise music, 20th century classical music. Still, all the while being in the swing choir at college. And this is like Glee before Glee.
Right? I love it. The Glee before Glee. And your college was where?
It was Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
And so you were still in what we call the heartland of America.
For sure.
Look at how you were getting exposed. This is great.
Well, what I loved most about it is that college experience allowed me to discover myself. And at the whole time I was discovering who I was, not only just musically, but also that I may not be the straight boy that I thought I was. And
So
that was
college was pivotal for you up
pivotal.
until that point. It didn't occur to you that you might be gay.
Couldn't be gay. Wasn't an option. I was raised in a very traditional suburban middle-class home.
Yeah.
My dad was a draftsman for a airplane company, and so it was very military, very by the rules. And so it never even occurred to me.
Yeah.
Except then suddenly I was kissing someone, and it was like, that's different.
Right. That's different, but it feels right.
Oh, it knew it was right.
Yeah, that's different, but it feels so right. Wow.
Well, and at the time, this is the 80s, and it was really hard to be gay. It wasn't the same as it is now. Not that it's super easy now, but it was very closeted, and I couldn't be.
Right.
I struggled.
And look at where you were, the part of the country. And in the 80s, that was, as you know, the onset of
the AIDS crisis. Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
right when I was in college, that was coming out, and we didn't know what was safe, what wasn't safe. How do you be? And
yeah, like how I had to ask you that because I was knee deep in the crisis because I got years on you, and I was losing friends left and right. And I did think about the kids coming along. Like, were you scared? How did it affect you? Or did a lot of people say, "Oh, it's that older groups of people are getting it"?
So I love the question. It was more not so much that it's the older people's, because this was right in the middle of it, but it was where we were located. It wasn't a reality until after college, when people that I knew became HIV positive. Right. But back in Cedar Rapids, it was a somewhat insular community, and so it wasn't maybe as safe as we should have been. And it wasn't necessarily as scary. It was known, and we talked about it, but it wasn't something that haunted us because we didn't have people dying like everywhere else.
It wasn't like in New York and LA where people were dropping all over the place.
Exactly. It took a while to get that close to the Midwest. Yeah.
Wow. So you had a lot of real coming of age in college. That was your first kiss. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I met my soulmate. And
I didn't realize that. That's great because you're celebrating your anniversary.
Well, so, okay.
Was it a different soulmate?
So my soulmate, I met actually in college. My freshman year, I was sitting on the far side of a room in this class that was required. And I remember him walking in the door. And this ties into the intuitive story. It's the whole reason I'm doing what I did is because of him. The first time in my life I can imagine a voice, not my own, going rushing through my head. He walked into class and I heard, "I know you." And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. Right. And I didn't meet him for a few more months, but we did move in and became roommates and best friends, and then became boyfriends.
Wow.
But neither one of us could be gay. We were both going through that struggle. After college, I moved to the Twin Cities, and he moved actually to New York City to be a daytime TV star. Right. And that didn't last very long.
Can you say who it is? I probably knew him.
Well, so his name was David Meyer. He didn't actually last long there.
I think I know the name though, because we were probably doing the same thing, like the soaps and that kind of thing at the same time.
Exactly what he wanted to do, right? And eventually he moved back to the Twin Cities. And one day in 1991, we were walking around this lake here, and he was engaged to a woman at the time, and I was in a destructive relationship with a guy. And we talked about running away together and starting it over, and it was just one of those soul deep conversations. That fall, unfortunately, however, he was killed in a car accident coming back to the Twin Cities on Thanksgiving.
Wow. Yeah. Taken, like, that's heavy,
25 years old, blew my mind. My head literally exploded.
How did you, I don't know, and you were so young to have experienced that kind of trauma.
Absolutely. And I didn't know what to do with it. I was working as a food service manager, and I remember after the funeral, I was in this kitchen making egg salad, thinking, you're off there exploring the universe, and I am here making egg salad. What's wrong with this picture? Right. And that really began my quest to understand this thing called life and God and death and all that kind of stuff. It's why I read cards today. That was the transformative moment of my life. And that oftentimes soulmates come into our lives, not necessarily as love. They can. Those are more twin flames. But a soulmate is a catalyst for change for us.
Totally. The minute you started saying it, I knew he was sent to you. And he was supposed to start this. But But as you know, because you connect with him in the universe, he's still very much with you. They're just not, we can't physically sit with them and have a conversation.
Well, we can have the conversation. We just can't.
Right. We can't, but not the physical,
Right.
We have the physical of touching them as a solid entity.
100%. And he's one of the guides I bring in to help me with my work. In fact, I've connected with several mediums that have connected me with him. And it was one of the most healing experiences I ever experienced, like 30 years after he died. And I didn't even know I was carrying this weight. But when I realized and understood that everything I knew that was true really was true, because they brought through things that they would never have known, because there was no internet in 1991.
Absolutely.
Right? There was no way that they could know anything that happened. And it was such a transformative experience that I wanted to do that. I want to be a Jedi too. And so that's what began my quest to understand and read tarot and really tapping into my intuition. And David is one of the people I bring in to do my readings with, one of my team, if you will.
Yeah. So you're channeling him now.
100%.
100%. So that is very interesting to me. Something, of course, I know a lot of, because I do that myself. My husband left us 2 years ago, but I think a lot of people were shocked still at not my recovery. The morning he passed, I celebrated him at Julius, the oldest gay bar in New York, that night. And my memorials for him were like shows, because that's what I knew he wanted. And that's what I wanted to give him. But he's very much with me. And since that time, and I love talking to you about this, people lose people. And I've tried to surround myself with people that I know have that need to find out about that person on the other side. I'm sure people hit you up all the time because you are the connector to that. We as a society, we have nothing in place for that. It's like, and there's people, I have a wonderful friend, Daniel, if you're watching now, don't hate me for this. He lived with me for a couple of months when he was in between apartments. He thinks I'm like really woo-woo.
I love it.
Right. And I love him to death. But a lot of the people that I connect with and surround myself with, they have to get the very thing that we're talking about. That David is still with you, and he is pushing your work, what you're supposed to be doing forward for you.
Yeah. In fact, I connected with the medium in February, and he comes through almost every single reading, no matter who. And this was a new medium I hadn't connected with. And she's like, yeah, he's taking credit for a song you did. So I ended up recording a song with Dr. Fink of Prince and the Revolution. And I was a huge Prince fan in the—
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'd like 1 degree of separation from Prince for many, many people. But he took credit for this song I did called Superhuman, which was a dream come true. It was my very first foray into the Prince camp. And it was a phenomenal experience. And he's taking credit for it because he knew I was a huge Prince fan. So that's pretty cool.
Right. And he probably, though, let's talk about the ability to channel and how it affects our creativity. When I'm on a roll with writing, I write political parodies and I write funny things. And when I'm on a roll with that, I know there's a few people I channel. I know it's one of them, like making those thoughts clearly come through my head.
100%.
Right, because often I call it the static, right? The static of life gets in there. And I'm sure as a person that's a musician and a composer, if you have static in your head, you can't write.
Right.
It just gets in the way. So it's helpful to have those outside people to help us.
Absolutely. What's really interesting is like not every thought we think is ours. The universe won't tell us what to do with our lives. Our guides, angels, and ancestors don't dictate because we've got free will. That's an important thing. We can never give up free will. But they inspire us. They guide us. They give us that feeling, that impression, that pull is what I call it. And that's what we navigate as we create, as we write, as we walk through life. When we listen to our intuition, our instincts, and we all have it. Every single person has it.
You're absolutely right.
When we listen to it, we choose to listen to it, that's when our lives change. That's the pathway that will give us the direction that we're going to go, the kismet, the serendipities, all of that.
The serendipity experiences that we have. But it took me a very long time, even though I've had the ability from a kid, I would listen to things people told me. And even if they felt wrong, I would go along with it. And then, of course, it would blow up in my face. I only got wise to this, I want to say like 12, 13 years ago, where my mother raised me. She would say, Wendy, the whole world can't be wrong and you're right. That is a very bad thing for an intuitive kid because you would doubt what your intuition was telling you. But it turned out at the end of the day, they were wrong.
Right. 100%.
Right. And when we listen to what we call, a lot of people call it the gut feeling. When we listen to the gut feeling, it always turns out great. I go so far as, and I think I told you this, I can voice read on the phone. If I have to call a client or someone calls me in regards to something business-wise, I believe it or not, I can tell from the tone in their voice on the phone. I've never seen the person. I can tell if they're real or if they're Memorex. I can tell if we are going to have a positive outcome or a negative outcome. And that's without meeting that person ever.
100%. That's using the energy. That's reading the energy.
Reading the energy. Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely.
So some of the things people that have come to you with, because people will go to people like you, are there things that have just like rocked your world that they've said? How do you clear that from your internal brain waves?
So it's such a great question. You know, she's a regular client right now. And she came up, and the very first time I met her, she had found her husband that had shot himself in the garage. And it's interesting is we've shared this story. She's one of our regular clients, and she's like, the first time you met me, I came up and my question was, are my kids going to be okay? And you said, yeah, they're fine, but sit down. There's so much here, right? And we worked through a process of letting go of anger and all kinds of stuff. It was a fascinating study. She did a phenomenal work. That's one of the weird things. I get that all the way to the cat has disappeared. We see my mom saw some fur out by the neighbor's garage that was the same color. So we took down the signs to find the cat. And I'm like, no, the cat's coming back. And I still have the voicemail on my phone. Cat came back 3 days later, right? They're like, he's dead. I'm like, no, he's not dead. Cat's coming back. Just hang on a minute. So you get all these extremes, quite a few suicides, quite a few. I had one, probably the most bizarre was a woman and her sister came, and I was doing an event, and one sat down, and I didn't notice, but she had bandages on her hand, and she was telling me about her son, her son-in-law that came and like had beat her or something. And then I was not allowed to see too much past that, but I helped her. And then the person that sat down next, I was blocked from hearing, was actually the mother of the kid that had done the abusing. And I didn't even know that. I was not allowed to see that.
And that person blocked you.
Yeah. Well, my spirit guides blocked me because
the spirit guides block you because
I would have put my judgment on it. I would have put my spin on it had I not just actually been channeling just spirit, what spirit wanted to say versus my ego. And that's one of the things as a professional reader, I try very much to what I call sit on the side. So what I'm bringing through is really as pure as it can be. Everything comes through a filter. When you see any medium or psychic, understand that their spirit can only use what's in their repertoire, their language, their verbiage, right? So I try very much to be what they call a hollow bone in Native American cultures. And
I know what that is, so that you can take it in and then give it back, from the spirit world.
Yep, as pure as you can without inserting the Paul David in it.
Yeah, it is so interesting to me. I love this conversation. I've met many a medium. There's a couple in New York that are the real deal, right? And
Thomas John, do you know Thomas John?
I know who that is.
No.
Jeffrey Wands. I'm sure you know who Jeffrey Wands is.
Yep.
Jeffrey he was doing a pilot, and we had a loft on 20th Street, and he walked into our space, and he walked in, it was a big space. My husband had been a photographer, and he stops in his tracks, and he looks at my husband. He said, the guy was murdered over a gambling debt in the bathroom. And he walked into our bathroom, and that is true as the day is long.
Oh, absolutely.
He got that hit immediately, right? And we were rolling cameras. Then we sat down at the table, and he looked at me and he said, your mother wants everyone to know that she was the 5th runner-up in the Miss America pageant, 1935, because the girl who won was sleeping with the judge. This was a family thing I grew up with. I grew up with that. You know,
Yeah.
my mother was Miss Connecticut and she was 5th runner-up in the Miss America pageant. I tell you this story because there's no way he could have known that.
Right.
I remember sharing this with my brother-in-law and he was like, maybe he's a mind reader or he researched your family. I'm like, no, this stuff is absolutely real. And
Absolutely.
I don't, you know what kills me, Paul? Native American cultures, and I've worked in Africa with traditional religion, like big time. They know this stuff.
Yeah.
They know that it's real. It's whole part of how they live their lives and everything. And yet in our culture, I guess what flips me out so much here is, you know, I have to be careful who I talk to because I can't show too much of the things I know because it'll freak them out.
For sure.
Or they'll be a non-believer, or they'll want to run as quickly as they can into the night to get away from me. It's hard. It's, you know, my daughter has it as well.
Sure.
I say, Kyle, it's a gift, but it's also you can't go running around town sharing this with people all the time because they're going to call you a wacko or this or that. Treat it like it is. It's a gift. It's precious. It's something very precious.
You have to tend it like a garden, right? And you don't let everybody into your garden because some of the people will plant weeds. You only let people in that will help nurture the flowers.
Right.
You know, that's the important part. You know, I'm also an ordained minister, Universal Life Church, been ordained for.
I read that too. Yeah.
You know, and so I've worked in mainstream churches my whole career. And so but I am the person that's the catalyst. I'm the one that helps change people's minds. So when I preach, when I talk about things, it's about incorporating the woo-woo into the traditional, because I think that we need to break down those barriers because there's healing there for everybody.
You know what? I am right there with you. And now, you know, the cliche, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's the only thing. There's just too little love. We really, as people, you and I, and the people that we touch and the people that we know that can do this, it really is up to us to try and use it to bring people together however we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in my channeling, so I'm also a channel.
Yes.
And what's been coming through lately is it's all about the unity. And it is truly heart to heart, soul to soul. It's not something that can be shouted from a stage or a pulpit, as the case may be. But it is that one-on-one as we connect with people and share our truths. People are looking for this. You know, people need to be healed when they've lost someone. That healing that I felt, you know, 10 years ago now, is something that is a gift. If people could understand that their loved ones are just a different frequency now. They're still with you. They're still watching. They're still involved in our lives, just not physical, as you said.
Listen, you know, the joke about Wendy and Alan, we were married 38 years. He was a well-known photographer and an artist. And I was the wind beneath his wings. He was brilliant, but I made this stuff happen. And I worked tirelessly for him, even when everything he was touching started to blow up, because it had to do with him. And you know what? People are not perfect, as we said,
for sure,
at the very beginning. So I held him up and continued to promote him. We were traveling to places like Africa to make these films for non-for-profits that we got no money for. It didn't matter. I felt it was a calling, and I used frequent flyer miles to do it. And whatever money I had from any of my gigs, I could use it. We stayed cheaply. I tell you this story because I created I call it a fake world, but it was a real world for him, right?
Sure, absolutely.
He worked tirelessly so that he felt like he had some worth, because he had lost everything that he believed in. He was still painting, still an amazing artist. Do you know, he's on the other side now. I'm sitting here editing every morning slides from his from the late 60s, late 70s, because I do want to get a show together for him. I pick up his artwork wherever I go. I've got his artwork placed at a wonderful place that I broadcast from, Pangea on the Lower East Side. Amazing cabaret and restaurant. And there's every person I meet, I kid you not, I will mention him. And I realize I'm still working for Alan. And my daughter, she said, that up. I'm like, no. And I'm like, it's really hard now because I don't have him there, I don't know, to point to or whatever. I just know I'm getting these messages, and I do talk to him. He knows. And right now, I'm sure he's listening.
Oh, he is, I'm sure.
I can, and I'm putting it out there. I want someone to offer a gallery show for his work. He deserves it. And he was a wonderful person. But you don't stop working for them just because they're on the other side.
Not at
all. And it's not just some memory that you're hanging on to. But I don't know, maybe where we're at in the universe will come up with a way of really spreading this way of thinking, because they do have it in Native American culture, and they have it in the cultures I've worked with, certainly in Africa, I'm sure in Asian culture too. We need to bring this to this country more now. We really do.
So much healing in that. And this is a start, talking about it and not, demystifying it.
Right.
Making it not so, I mean, woo, I use the phrase too, right? But it really is practical. And if you study it, there's actually a couple of documentaries out there that take these gifts and take them to the laboratory and test them out and prove that there's more going on here than we understand.
Right. Absolutely. Now, how much with you? So I'm brought in my dreams, and God, and people know this about me. I go frequently to where people that have passed on that were close to me in my dreams. And it looks very much like New York City, but it's not. It's different.
Sure.
And they're there and they give me messages, and it's a dream state, but Paul, it's not a dream. What is your opinion on that?
Well, absolutely. It's just a different frequency. So think of it like a radio station, right? Or even a television station. You're just tuning in. All the stations are playing all the time, but when your tuner is set to a certain station, the station changes and you see just Wheel of Fortune or just the news or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You're just changing your frequency at that point to tune into that particular version of what you've constructed as a way to communicate. For me, it's a garden, right? I see them in a garden setting with a fountain. That's my other world, if you will. But it's just changing in frequency. It's simply a shift.
Right. Yeah. But I feel that it really is happening.
Oh, it is.
Like I wake up and I remember things that were said there, and it's way different than a dream. And it's hard for me to articulate what I'm trying to do, but I think you're getting it. I am at a different frequency at that point. Or as Stephen Hawking used to say, a parallel universe.
Yeah. I mean, it's all semantics, potato. And really, those are called visitation dreams, when they're that vivid and you remember things coming back.
So I didn't know there was a name for them. So it's a visitation
dream. And they're frequent when things come through. In fact, this week, my visitation dreams have been, I lost a dog about 2 years ago. Just one of the dogs I connected with like I've never connected, little London. And she came through. She's come through twice this week just to say hi. I mean, we still talk about her all the time. But the people, animals, they connect with us in different ways, but that's a visitation when you remember it like that, or it's more vivid versus the dream where you're like running through molasses uphill. And
right. I know. Right. It's totally the difference.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah. Well, I want to show your video and we'll talk about your music. Okay. So yes, let it roll. Let's watch the video.
When I was young, I was taught that I should care. Well, it certainly is true. They forgot to add on the really care about things that ignite the spark in you. Things that make you happy. Things that drive you wild. Instead, I find I'm caring about all the bullshit in my life. Gotta rewind myself. Gotta get my mind back to the way it used to be who I was before I dulled my shine. I wanna see Now I gotta rewind myself, gotta get my mind back to the way it used to be who I was before I dulled my shine, to be the change I wanna see, to not judge different as enemy, just play nice and share my toys. Gotta be young again, just gotta unwind and mess with him, gotta rewind myself.
Fabulous. Just, you know what's so great about it? Why I grabbed it immediately.
What?
We talk about people's backgrounds on the show, who they were, how they grew up, blah, blah, blah. All you got to do is play that and watch it. And who you are is absolutely all there. It's everything you tell me. It's really a great piece. So it's very up, which I love, you know. Why did you call it Gotta Rewind Myself?
So, you know, thinking about life and helping people, even with tarot or even myself, realizing that it's my responsibility now that I'm an adult to figure out what things serve me and what things don't serve me. And that for each of us to do that inner work, that self-assessment, requires us to go inside and play the tapes that we've been taught.
Well, yeah,
you know,
that is such a metaphor, right? That's 100%. What I thought.
I mean, it's that first line. When I was young, I was taught that I should care. That certainly is true. But they forgot to add only really care about things that ignite the spark in you, things that make you happy, things that drive you wild, right? Instead, you find that you're caring about the things that you shouldn't care about in your life, right? Exactly. All the BS, you know, our belief systems, right? That's Suzanne Gieseman's word for it. I love that whole BS idea of our belief systems are the stuff that's keeping us trapped. When we let go of that, when we truly authentically become who we are, we're free. That all gets loosed. And I thought that was an important message for people to understand that it's your responsibility to go through and be who you're called to be. You must rewind the tapes, unwind them from your psyche. Yeah. And that's what the impetus of the song.
But that's hard, okay?
I didn't say it was easy.
You know, I love that you did it. You had to go through old footage, prints to do that. It's hard. I wrote a book called She's the Last Model Standing. The way I wrote it was I have 275 photo albums. Wow. That's how I put the book together. And I had an editor who worked with me on the phone every morning. And all those memories were prompted from looking at the pictures. But in many ways, it was very draining, Paul, because it made me revisit those. To help ourselves, to protect ourselves, we have to sometimes bury those memories, you know. And when you look at those pictures, I'm sure you remember who you were at the time, what had happened, the people that liked you. I don't know if you were bullied as a kid or not.
100%.
100%. Right. You're like, because you're a ray of sunshine now, you know. But right, you were bullied as a kid. It brings up all that stuff.
Well, you know, you have to bring it up like pus in a wound to heal it.
It is.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, I've had the privilege to sit with fear and sit with those feelings. And what I learned is that when I press them down, they become stronger. It's like a gym, right? They're like, buff, I'm going to lift that way. And so when they come back, they're more horrifying or more horrific. But if I just let them live their natural cycle, they flow up and out. That's the natural process for grief, for fear, for all those traumas. And if we can let that go and remember that we are source energy, that we are a spark of God, for lack of a better word, and focus on that, how could anything that's God not be amazing? And if you remember that we're that, and then start believing that by, you know, good self-talk. You know, my last single I just released in June was called Affirmation, which is it's the precursor. What happens after Gotta Rewind Myself is you have to affirm yourself. You know, I'm beautiful, I'm loved. Nothing you say can take that away from me.
You described it as an anthem of hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And I released it on the Twin Cities Pride Sunday or Saturday.
Amazing.
That was by choice, especially because so many things are happening for trans rights, and even and I still don't, yay Supreme Court, but I'm not celebrating.
I know, because you don't know what's going. Here's the deal: why the work you do now is so important. You're a solid entity that gives off positive energy in a world where, and my co-host on my other show, Tim Moss, we talk about this all the time. You wake up every day and you don't know what the hell's going to happen next.
Right.
Horrific thing. And in my case, I have to temper the news. I have to stay informed, but I never watch it on TV because that gets in your psyche. I don't want it to block any of my energies that I can use, to help. And with what's going on right now, it buries people. It absolutely buries people.
One of the hardest things that came through in the channeling recently was, and this very topic was, even though you're going through these things, you must remember everything comes from source energy. Even those people that are perpetrating horrific acts.
Horrific.
Challenge yourself. See them as a part of source. That's hard when all you want to do is punch them in the throat. Right? But you can't.
Yeah, that's like really moving past what the negative entity that they are and how you feel. Like a lot of what's come down lately, I find myself I know we shouldn't say hate, but my reaction
visceral.
It's absolutely visceral. It's
one of the things, there's a spiritual or a physical practice called entrainment. Right? It's the same thing that happens when a car drives by with the bass booming and your curio cabinet shakes.
Yeah.
It's vibration. It's energy playing from one thing to another, influencing something else. So I'm a firm believer in the 100th monkey syndrome. You're familiar with the 100th monkey?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking to build through one-on-one contact, through spreading love and light, person by person, 100 monkeys. When we get to that 100th monkey, suddenly the energy leaps to the super consciousness. And we have to just be that energy, be that light bulb for each other and inspire it. Because once and what's happening now is the more they squash woke, the more people are waking up. I love that.
I got to tell you, because I troll a lot of the blogs that are anti. You cannot imagine the infighting now on there.
Yes, which is exactly what we want to have happen.
It totally is. The only thing is, after the elections and everything, we were all feeling really positive. And then the setback, I am concerned about the Affordable Care Act being funded because that is a ton of people. Yep. I was on it for years as a self-employed performer.
Yeah,
that's how. Right. And I remember when he got in the first go around, the first thing he was going after was my insurance, Obamacare. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember the hatred, that it was visceral.
Yes.
I felt for myself and all the other performers. Like, why on earth would you do that? Healthcare should be a basic human right. And this shouldn't even be on the table right now. It shouldn't be, we're going to discuss it now in January. How did we come to this?
Right, exactly.
How did we come to this?
Basic human rights.
Basic human rights. Well, I agree with you. I too am working on my 100th monkey. And I wake up every day and just put really good stuff out there and share really good stuff. And I listen, as you do. I will tell you, as an empath, sometimes it's like you have to put up, I call it the psychic curtain.
I love that. I call it shielding.
Okay, you shield. I call it the psychic curtain. Whoop, the psychic curtain's up. Okay.
In fact, I actually did because I have so many clients that do this. I have on my website, pauldavidmusic.net. If you go to the intuitive page, there's a free to listen to shielding meditation that will help you protect yourself. Now, the interesting thing is that I talked about that documentary. It was called Superhuman. They actually did something like not my shielding meditation, but like it, where they were doing remote viewing and the person could be seen. They did this shielding meditation and they couldn't be seen. So it's a psychic protection as well. And it's a 10-minute meditation. It doesn't really take 10 minutes.
Well, I went to your website and I saw that on there.
Yeah, it's a super good thing to help.
Can you tell them your website again?
Sure. It's pauldavidmusic.net. And you're going to go to the intuitive section because there's all the music too, because I'm too cheap to buy two websites. Let's be real.
You know what? You don't need to, because that's not it. You are both those things. So why not have them? That's who who you are. And I know your singles are all on there. When I
Yes.
did go to the section that deals with tuition, psychic ability, and tarot, I tried to sign up. This is interesting for the, I wanted to be on your mailing list, or you have a journal or something.
Yeah, a monthly newsletter.
Right. It wasn't letting me sign up, and I switched phones and I couldn't get on it even on the other phone. What was that?
I'll take a look at that. I'm not sure why that happened.
Okay. If you can send me a link to something, I sure would like to get it. Especially I did read that psychic meditation that you shared with everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, it's there for people to use. I mean, I'm here to be of service. Yes, I do charge for my services because Papa needs to eat, right?
No, you should charge for your services. Look what you're doing. People pay therapists.
For sure. But I do have some free offerings. There's also, if you've got a tarot deck sitting in your drawer, under free offerings, there's a couple of PDFs that you can download free of charge that will help you get out of the book and into the cards, because I think there's something that people can use every day to help them just give insight or perspective on what they're walking into energetically. And I love that.
That's great. That's certainly a great tool for people to have at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so I know you're working on a book, and it's a book that you expect out in 2026. Can you share a little of that with us?
Absolutely. So it's called 42 Stories of Life, the Universe, and Everything. And for those of you that are sci-fi fans, you'll understand that reference to Douglas Adams and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That was a huge part of my upbringing of growing up. In fact, so much so that the very first cat my parents had, we named it Arthur. I named it Arthur, even though it was a girl, Arthur Dent, right? But what I did is I took experiences of life. There are 42 short stories, short lessons about different aspects of exactly what we're talking about. There's the lesson of the snow globe, which talks about how the snow globe doesn't do what it's supposed to do unless it gets shaken up. And that if your life gets shaken up, maybe you're just being called to another reality. There's the Schrodinger's relationship, which, if you know Schrodinger's experiment, is the cat alive, is the cat dead? You don't know until you open the box. How many relationships are we in where we don't ask the questions, we don't have the conversations, so we don't know if the relationship is alive or dead because we're scared of it? There's a whole story about how when my dog passed, what I went through. I heard in my head, in my intuition, London was the dog's name, has decided to go home. And it's all about my struggle as a human with that.
Right, to deal with, and the dog's name was London, you said?
Yes, London Marie, England. Yes.
Wow.
And different aspects of that, different stories are all woven together through pop culture, through stories of my life, through experiences. In fact, the story of my soulmate that I told you is actually in there, the longer version of that story. How I develop my gifts, how I choose to see things, vibration, energy, entrainment. Just a ton of lessons, 42 different lessons. And the very last chapter is called 42. And I don't want to spoil the book, but there's a reason why that's the answer.
Yeah, you don't want to give it away. And here's two things I want to tell you. You have to let me know when the book comes out so I can get it. And then I want to have you back on the show. And I want to I'll read through the entire book. Yes, I am an interviewer that reads through the books. I don't sleep. But that's
I don't think I do either.
Right. And, people are like, can you do this? Can you do that? I'm like, this is obnoxious. I have photographed my calendar and sent it to people that were demanding too much of my time. I'm like, you can find a spot for yourself in there. I said, because I sleep 5 hours every night as it is. There's no more room at the end. You know what I'm saying? I would love to read this book. I'm already very turned on about what you're showing in there. And it would be great to have you back on the show then. So please, you're going to stay in touch with me.
For sure.
I don't know where the time went, but it always goes. So one of the things I like to do before I say goodbye, I like to get a picture. So yeah, just look at me. Cheese. Great. And let me just check that. Oh, very, very cool. Very cool. Thank you. This is great. I am so happy that you randomly picked me out of a hat and came here, but that's how it works, isn't it?
It is.
And just in terms of readings and stuff, I'm asking because I have a lot of friends that look for really good, talented people to do their readings. I would imagine you do Zoom, you do phone, you do all
Absolutely. Zoom phone. The nice part about Zoom is you get to keep the recording.
Right.
I read a lot in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, Minnesota, also Wisconsin. I'm going to branch out into Iowa and North Dakota this year. But you can always catch me via Zoom. All of those links and pricing that are on my website, again, pauldavidmusic.net. Reach out to me at any time with intuitivepd@gmail.com, right there in my title. And connect, we can talk about all the things and figure out a time that works for all of us. But yes, I love doing that.
That I know it's totally great, and you're a great resource to have in my cauldron, if you will.
Absolutely.
I will share you with my friends that are always looking for the truth. Should we say we're looking for the truth? Thank you, Paul. I can't thank you enough. And you take care of yourself. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Wendy.
All right, we are clear.
All right. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Oh, my
Thank
God.
you.
Oh, look, you're on the other side. It could happen. Thank you so much, Paul, for being here tonight.
Thank you,
The
Wendy.
link is ready to go to be sent out. This was live, and the link is ready to go. I'll send you the picture.
Perfect.
Please. Oh, and this is my heart. He came over.
Oh,
That's Nugget.
I
Nugget
love
lives
it.
with a cockatoo and 2 rabbits, and nobody's kept in a cage. So
I absolutely
very
love it.
interesting life in New York. Please take care of yourself. Okay, be well.
You as
Happy
well. Stay in touch.
birthday.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Well, Nugget.